bank holiday, Lidl have a great range of British barbecue meats. Only $2.69 for vintage cheddar beef burgers. And maple glazed pork belly slices, just $2.99. 4 sweet chili chicken skewers or Chinese-style chicken thighs, also $2.99. Lidl, big on quality, little on price. Subject to availability, selected stores, excludes NI.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Iain Dale.
Hello, a very good morning. It's 3 minutes past 11 on LBC. You're listening to Iain Dale. You will know at this time, for the last few weeks and for the next couple of weeks, we will be interviewing a politician from each of the political parties taking part in the European elections. Last week, we had Nigel Farage on his own show. That was a bit bizarre, wasn't it? Quite a feisty interview, that one was. Next week, we've got Joe Swinson from the Liberal Democrats, and on the following Sunday, it'll be somebody as yet unidentified from the Conservative Party. You can watch the next hour on the LBC Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter feed and the website lbc.co.uk, and we are in the company of Andrew Adonis, Lord Adonis. He is a candidate for Labour in these European elections. Andrew, welcome.
Great to be with you, Iain.
We will take some calls in a moment. If you're watching on any of the aforementioned channels, you can see that Andrew is wearing a tie with the European Union flag on it.
And you can also see Ian's not wearing a tie at all.
No, because I don't wear ties.
But I do have a spare European Union flag.
No.
Ian,
I think that would be too much.
Too.
I did in the 1980s. I used to advocate European community membership and used to do debates with one of those ties on.
Well, that's good. Well, you'll come back to the true faith in due course.
You reckon? Right. Let's start. Is Labour the party of Remain?
It's the party which makes Remain possible, because the only way that we can stay in the European Union, in my judgment, is through a referendum. I mean, Parliament could decide simply to revoke Article 50, but given the referendum 3 years ago, I don't think that's going to happen. It requires a referendum for Article 50 to be revoked, one with Remain as an option, and in the only real-world scenario that we're going to face, which is a Brexit deal from this government, Mrs May's deal, or something quite like it, Labour has said that we would hold what we call a confirmatory vote, which is a public vote with an option to remain, and that, of course, makes Remain possible. So my message in these European elections is, if what you want to do is to remain, then the only party that can make that possible is Labour.
Well, that's
and
not true
Labour
at all.
voting for it in the House of Commons is what will bring it about.
The Liberal Democrats and Change UK and the Greens, actually, are the three parties that are unashamedly Remain supporters.
Yeah, but the key point, though, Iain, is they've only got a handful of seats in the House of Commons. So unless Labour in the House of Commons votes for a referendum, there will be no referendum. It doesn't matter how strongly my friends in the Liberal Democrats and the Greens and
but
Change,
the House of Commons
how
hasn't
strongly
voted.
they perform.
The House of Commons has had several opportunities to vote for a referendum recently, and it hasn't taken them.
It's come close. It came within 12 votes on April the 1st, and that was in a vote on there being a referendum with an option to remain on any Brexit deal, which Labour, with Jeremy Corbyn in the lead, we voted for. Now, it's only 12 votes now. My view is that majority will narrow, and we will get there.
You tweeted yesterday, we've now voted 3 times against Mrs May's deal and twice for a referendum. When did anybody vote for a referendum?
What's called a confirmatory vote is a referendum.
But
on the
who's
1st of
voted
April.
For that?
280 MPs voted for a confirmatory vote with an option to remain, which is a referendum, on the 1st of April in the House of Commons. And that is the vote, Iain, which went down by 12. So if we can, that only means that 6 MPs need to change their minds. If 6 MPs change their minds, there would be a referendum.
There are quite a lot of Labour MPs that don't support a referendum, aren't there?
But that included the fact that some Labour MPs didn't support it. It was still only a majority of 12. Now, of course, Theresa May could have a deal tomorrow if what she would do is to agree to put her deal to a referendum with an option to remain. And the compromise I think that there could and should be between Mrs May and Jeremy Corbyn is that her deal should be agreed by Parliament with a referendum and an option to remain, so that people can make their own view, the public, on this deal.
Just put your headphones on for a second. I want to play you a clip of Jeremy Corbyn speaking to ITV's Paul Brand on Friday.
I think it means there's a huge impetus on every MP, and they've all got that message, whether they themselves are Leave or Remain, or the people across the country, that an arrangement has to be made, a deal has to be done, and Parliament has to resolve this issue. I think that is very, very clear.
So that was Jeremy Corbyn speaking on Friday, making clear that his interpretation of the local election results was the electorate want Parliament to just get on with it and make Brexit happen. Do you agree with Jeremy Corbyn?
I agree with Jeremy. There should be a deal, and I know what the deal should be. The deal should be to agree to Theresa May's deal with a referendum and an option to remain, and that would be a genuine compromise. It means that Parliament would vote through Theresa May's deal.
That's not what he was saying.
And there should be a referendum. Well, actually, Keir Starmer, if you saw his interview on Sky, I know it's a rival channel, but we do watch the rivals as well. Keir Starmer's interview on Sky yesterday, he said that in any arrangement that was reached with the government, there would be very strong pressure for there to be a referendum on it. So my own view is that
But you're going back to the referendum all the time. Jeremy Corbyn does everything he can. Jeremy Corbyn does everything he can never to mention a referendum. He doesn't want one, does he?
Jeremy voted for one in the House of Commons. He voted on the 1st of April for a referendum on any deal with an option to remain. That is what the Labour Party has voted for in the House of Commons. That's what I support. That's what I think the middle ground of British public opinion now wants to, because they understand there needs to be a resolution to this Brexit crisis. I completely agree with Jeremy on that. We cannot carry on as we are. But the only resolution that is going to bring a parliamentary majority on board and appeal to middle opinion in the country is the best Brexit deal that can be negotiated. And to give Theresa May her deal, she's been doing it for 2.5 years. But put that to the people with an option to remain. Because now, after 3 years since the last referendum, we can see the impact
never mentions that in any interviews, although frankly he doesn't do many interviews, as we know. And people on your side of the debate will constantly talk about a confirmatory referendum. It's now become a confirmatory referendum, not a people's vote. I don't know when the decision was made to change that.
The words, it's a bit Orwellian, Ian. The words change, but they describe the same thing.
Well, it is indeed.
It's basically the second.
I'm glad you said it's Orwellian. Isn't it Orwellian to try and have another vote when the result of the first vote hasn't yet been implemented? I would describe that as Orwellian.
Yeah. When people voted 3 years ago, there were only 4 words on the ballot paper: leave the European Union. There was no deal. There were contradictory statements made about what a deal would look like, whether we'd stay in the customs union or leave it, whether there'd be freedom of movement, not freedom of movement, whether we'd be paying the European Union money or getting money from the European Union. Remember the bus, the 350 million a week for the NHS?
Well, as I said to a caller earlier, this is so boring. We can go over all this ground for the next hour if you want.
Which is the reason why there should be a second referendum, because now we can see the deal. Theresa May, to give her due, and not many people do at the moment, but I'm doing my best for her, she spent 2.5 years negotiating a deal. She's got, in my judgment, probably the only deal that could be got, given her red lines. The right thing to do now, that people can see it and can see, 39 billion, we'd have to pay the European Union for less good trade and economic terms than we've got now. The right thing to do is put it to the people with an option to remain.
What do you make of Barry Gardner, the Shadow International Trade Secretary, on the election night programme on Thursday, saying that Labour is trying to bail out the Tories in the cross-party talks?
I think that must have been a slip of the tongue. I can't think he meant to say.
So he was wrong.
I can't think he meant to say that Labour would bail out the Conservatives.
Well, that's exactly what he did say.
Yeah, but I don't think he meant that, because the idea that we would pass the Tory deal, which would do irrevocable harm to the British economy and to people's jobs, is unthinkable.
So what's the point of the talks?
Because there is a belief that it might be possible to get everything that Labour said that it wanted, which was the exact same benefits of the existing customs union and single market. But I don't think that's at all likely.
Well, you and I know that it's also not possible.
It's neither likely. It's neither likely.
Is it?
Well, no, it is possible.
How?
By staying in the European Union.
Yeah,
that's the way of doing it.
That's not the point of the talks.
And that's the reason why we should hold a referendum.
The talks are there, presumably to come to some kind of compromise. Now, it appears that Theresa May is going to offer some sort of customs union membership as a compromise. If she does that, is that something that you think Jeremy Corbyn should accept?
Well, Keir Starmer yesterday said, and he's in the room, I'm not in the room, he said that what was on offer from the government wasn't remotely close to what Labour was seeking.
They're talking now, all the Sunday papers, you've read the Sunday papers, I'm sure, they've all been briefed that she's going to make a big offer to Jeremy Corbyn on Tuesday, and it will be for a customs union arrangement.
Well, the description I've seen in the papers of the offer doesn't actually talk about full membership of the European Customs Union.
A customs union, which is what Jeremy Corbyn wants. He doesn't want membership of the customs union.
All I can say is a customs union of that kind would take years to negotiate. So if something like that is going to happen, we couldn't even pass judgment on
that's official Labour Party policy.
membership
Isn't
of the
it?
customs union and
No.
and full access to the single market.
No. A customs union, that is Labour Party policy, is it not?
Well, the actual words, if we're getting literal about it, are a permanent and comprehensive customs union. And what Sir Keir Starmer said yesterday is there has not been an offer of a permanent and comprehensive
I'm aware of
customs
that,
union.
but you seem to be against Labour Party policy. You don't want a customs union. You want membership of the customs union.
What Labour fought the last election on was, and I quote, retaining the benefits of the customs union and the single market. Now, for the life of me, I can't see how you can retain those benefits without either staying in the single market and the customs union or
but that
close
is not
to
Labour
it.
Party policy.
No, that is what Labour fought the last election
Staying
on,
in the
Iain.
European, in the
That's what we
single
fought the last
market,
election
staying in
on.
the single market is not Labour Party policy, is it?
Retaining
Is it?
Our policy.
Is it?
Our policy in our last manifesto was to retain the benefits.
No, that's not
of,
staying in the. That's not staying in the single market or the customs union.
Iain,
I know we're arguing over semantics, but they're important
but Iain,
semantics
if
here.
you and I,
because you disagree with your own party's policy on this.
Iain, if you and I were conducting these negotiations, this was the negotiating room, and my position was I want to retain the benefits of the customs union and the single market. You would need to be able to demonstrate to me that your offer, Theresa May's offer, does retain the benefits of the single market.
All I'm quoting to you is that it is Labour Party policy to come out of the single market and the customs union and then to negotiate a customs union with the EU and to retain whatever benefits there are of the single market. That is very different from what you're saying.
Iain, you were being very literal a moment ago. The words are retain the benefits, not retain whatever
but that's
benefits
different
we
from
can
retaining
salvage.
membership, which is what you want.
No, but to retain the benefits, you have to have an arrangement that is either in the customs union and the single market or so close to being so.
But that's not Labour Party policy. I don't understand.
That's what we fought the last election on, Iain.
I'm sorry, but it is not. You fought the last election on coming out of the single market, did you not?
We fought the last election on... Let's be clear. We fought the last election on retaining the benefits of the single market.
Which is not the same as staying in the single market, is it?
Well, the answer to your question is it depends what the offer is.
No.
It has to be so close.
Oh, my goodness.
It would have to be so close.
You either want to stay in the single market, which you do unashamedly. That is not Labour Party policy. That's all I'm saying to you.
Labour's policy is to retain the benefits. Now, it is my view, Iain, the reason we're going round in circles is it is my view.
The reason we're going round in circles is because you're against your own party's policy, but you can't quite bring yourself to admit it because you're standing as an official Labour candidate.
I strongly support retaining the benefits of the single market and the customs union. The best way of doing it is to stay in the European Union, but in any event, we should have a people's vote, a confirmatory ballot, whatever you want to call
every
it.
Answer I see is coming back to a people's vote. That's obviously going to be the pattern for the hour.
But that's also where the great majority of the British public are now. What they want is their say. They want their say.
There hasn't been,
and that's the reason why there was a big. I'm afraid it's the reason why some of our other parties.
We'll come on to that in a moment.
But
do you hope these cross-party talks succeed?
I can't. I think there's virtually no chance of them succeeding because there isn't a basic meeting of minds. Theresa May, if she tried to implement, I mean, you know the Conservative Party better than I do, but if she tried to implement something approaching a full and comprehensive customs union with an arrangement for dynamic arrangement with the single market, whereby we'd have to replicate all the rules of the single market, rather like Norway does. How many votes do you think she would get amongst Conservative backbenchers?
Oh, I agree with you.
I mean, virtually none.
I totally agree with you.
There's not the makings of an agreement.
But again, you are coming. You tweeted just before you came on the show to say that you think Labour should withdraw from these cross-party talks, which again, for an official Labour candidate in these elections to do, will not be seen as very helpful by the Labour leadership.
John McDonnell, who is one of the leaders of my party, has just been on one of your rival channels saying that trying to negotiate an agreement with Theresa May is like trying to sign a contract with a company about to go into administration. Do you know, Iain, I could not have put it better myself.
He didn't say that they should withdraw from the talks.
Well, the problem with going into contracts with companies going to administration is that they tend not to last. I mean, is Theresa May even going to be Prime Minister by the middle of this week? The situation we're in at the moment doesn't form the basis for any agreement.
I can remember in 2005 when I was an official Conservative candidate, and I said something on my blog, which, shall we say, was not quite the same as Conservative Party policy.
It was very risque.
I was rung up by Linton Crosby and said, "Mate, can you delete that? Doesn't exactly help." Do you get calls from Labour Party headquarters when you go off piece?
Do you know what I do, Iain? I cite my fellow Labour leaders. John saying on the Mark programme, as he said this morning...
That's not the same as what you just said. That is
well,
not the same.
Well, I'm afraid it is.
No,
because,
it's not.
Because I do not know anyone...
You said,
I
think they should withdraw. John McDonnell hasn't said that.
I don't know anyone sensible who would seek to negotiate a contract with a company about to go into administration.
So you think that the Labour leadership is not sensible now?
I don't think it would be sensible to reach a contract with a government about to go into administration. If that is our judgment of Mrs May's government, and let's be frank, I mean, the Sunday papers are full of 10,
why are you
15
standing
people
as
to
the
take
Labour
over
candidate?
from her,
Why aren't you standing as a Liberal Democrat or a Change UK candidate? Because you used to be a member of the Liberal Party, SDP, wasn't it? Why don't you stand for a party that actually you agree with?
Well, I've been in the Labour Party for 25 years. I am an internationalist social democrat. And I'm not. I haven't changed my views.
That's what Change UK would say they are.
Well, I haven't changed my views in the whole. Actually, I haven't changed my views since I was in the SDP. My political views have remained roughly the same since I was 18. I was strongly in favour of being in the European Union.
You're out of kilter with your own party now, aren't you? Why don't you join Change UK?
I'm not. The overwhelming majority of Labour Party members are strongly in favour of being in the EU, and they also want a confirmatory ballot with an option to remain because they know that the country is being sold down the river by Theresa May. So actually, I think I'm in line with most Labour Party members, so I don't think I should be leaving the Labour Party. Right.
We are going to talk more to Andrew Adonis in just a moment, and we'll be taking your calls after 11:30. It's 18 minutes past 11.
This is LBC.
Let's hear it for Ozzy, the nature-loving pug. He thought he'd get a buzz out of eating a bumblebee in the garden. Ouch! Oh. Luckily, Pets in a Pickle had little Ozzy covered, and now he's back in the garden chasing butterflies. For pet insurance policies as unique as they are, visit petsinnapickle.co.uk.
There's more to Volvo than meets the eye. Beyond our history of world-first safety innovations, we've evolved to bring you a multi-award-winning range on a mission to make life that little less complicated. See how simple Scandinavian design delivers an intuitive driving experience. Connect, control, and be entertained by technology designed around you. Feel inspired by the innovation that drives Volvo. It's all there for you to experience at the Volvo Evolved Showcase from the 11th to 12th of May at your local retailer, with offers across the range. Register today at volvoevolved.co.uk.
iZettle is the mobile card reader and till system for your tablet and phone. It's the fast-moving, trend-setting, dream-chasing, mind-bending, life-changing, hip-shaking, jaw-dropping, pulse-racing, show-stopping, stress-busting, space-saving, eye-opening, skyrocketing, business-boosting, profit-pushing, finger-tapping, ceiling-smashing, record-breaking way to run your business. For a better way to take card payments and start, run and grow your business, visit iZettle.com.
Have you discovered Karcher's most advanced pressure washers? With Karcher's Full Control Plus technology, you can select the perfect setting for every cleaning task with just a touch of a button. What's more, until the 31st of May, you can claim up to £50 cash back on our Full Control Plus pressure washers. Visit your local B&Q, Screwfix or Wickes and get yours today. Terms and conditions apply. Visit karcher.co.uk to find out more.
It's the Bank Holiday Sale at Oak Furnitureland, and that means solid hardwood furniture, free delivery, and something extra. A big Bank Holiday saving. So make the most of your bank holiday and shop now at Oak Furnitureland. There's a store near you, and it all ends Monday.
This week in the middle of Lidl, car accessories. Get a Monabo roof box for £119, Tiger XL roof bars just $49.99, and Brio roof bars for $29.99. Take your adventures up a gear for less. From Sunday the 5th of May. Lidl. Big on quality, little on price. Subject to availability, selected stores, excludes NI.
It's hard to put your finger on what makes a Mini. The iconic design? Unique handling? But what really makes you smile is just its, well, sheer mininess. Get your Mini 3-door Hatch 1 Classic with LED lights and 6.5-inch infotainment screen for only $199 per month. Search Mini offers to find out more. Who's in? Mini UK is a credit broker. £2,000 initial rental. 48-month hire agreement from Mini Financial Services. Subject to status and availability. For new vehicles ordered by 30th June 2019 and registered by 30th September 2019 UK only. Guarantees may be required. Mileage and other conditions apply when you return the vehicle. T's and C's apply.
Iain Dale on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
22 minutes past 11. Andrew Adonis, Labour MEP candidate, is with us in the studio. He's going to take your calls in about 10 minutes' time. But first, Andrew, you will remember about 7 months ago, you were sitting in that very chair on Cross Question, and you said this.
If you're a Brexiter, I hope you won't vote for the Labour Party, because the Labour Party is moving increasingly against Brexit.
30 to 40% of Labour Party voters support Brexit.
But by definition, therefore, the majority were against Brexit. One does the maths on that.
You ignore all of those Brexit voters in Northern Labour constituencies?
No, don't ignore them at all. But your caller was saying, which party should you vote for if you want to see Brexit happen? I'm confident that by the time we come to the Prime Minister's treaty, which I think is what Liam has already said, it doesn't even constitute Brexit. He's saying what the Prime Minister's seeking to negotiate is something around her Chequers deal, which still has us in some kind of customs union, and he's now saying that's not Brexit, which sort of shows the problem we've got. So I wouldn't vote Labour if you want to stop Brexit. If you want to stop Brexit, though, if you want to stop Brexit, though, I think you should vote Labour.
Former Labour MP Gisela Stewart.
Well, I'm just slightly puzzled, Andrew. You are still a Labour member of the House of Lords, aren't you?
I certainly am.
And you take the Labour whip, but you're telling people not to vote Labour.
Now, if you want Brexit, I think you should vote for a party that's going to deliver Brexit, and we're not going to deliver Brexit.
So the Labour heartlands in the North East and the North West, who voted in big numbers to leave, come the next local elections, which will be, you say, as you are Brexiteers, don't vote Labour. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying if what you want is Brexit delivered, you should vote for the party that's going to deliver Brexit, which I'm afraid is the Conservatives.
And you've now had to completely recant on that, haven't you? You were ordered to do so by Seamus Milne. You were taken hostage by Seamus Milne in a room in Labour Party HQ and said, right, sign this statement.
Well, that's over-egging it a bit, Ian. Let's be
only
clear.
a bit, though.
Let's be clear. If you're a Labour candidate, you obviously tell people to vote Labour.
But you weren't telling people to vote Labour
and I shouldn't have said that, and I regret saying it. It was many months ago. But the key point, Ian, is... Hang on a second. Hold on, can I just respond? Because you played the clip. The key point is that was before we committed to a referendum. In a referendum, people who voted Leave and people who voted Remain 3 years ago can all have their say. So my view is, of course, people who voted Leave and Remain should vote Labour, because you will have your say on any likely Brexit deal that we're going to be going forward with from this government.
You didn't write a word of this statement, did you? It was written for you.
I didn't.
The one where you recant on it.
Yeah, I didn't draft it, but of course I agreed. Of course, I agreed it.
Labour is the only political party seeking to bring Remain and Leave voters together so that we can get on with the job of ensuring our country works for the many, not the few.
Well, that is true. We are the only party trying to bring the country together. I mean, that's absolutely true.
But surely, if you're going to recant on something, wouldn't it have been better for you to have done it in your own language rather than this guff?
Look, I'm a Labour candidate and I support Labour policy. And we voted, let's be clear, I keep coming back to this thing because it's so important. We, the Labour Party, led by Jeremy Corbyn, on the 1st of April, voted in the House of Commons for there to be a referendum on any Brexit deal with an option to remain. I'm proud of that vote, and that is where I believe we will end up as a country.
But that is not what 5 million Labour voters want. When you said in that clip there, we're not going to deliver Brexit, again, that goes against the official party line, because the official party line is to deliver on the referendum.
Well,
maybe not the same way as the Tories would.
Well, what we have said is that any Brexit deal coming from this government, and that's the only likely Brexit deal we're going to see, there should be what is now called a confirmatory public vote with an option to remain. I'm completely comfortable with that policy. Ian, indeed, it's the policy I've been putting forward now for months.
The fact is, you've only changed your mind on this because you're now an official Labour candidate. Had you not been an official Labour candidate, you would have stuck to that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't think you've heard too much changing of my mind from me this morning, Ian, have you? I was then
well, you have changed your mind on this, haven't you?
And I was then in favour of a referendum, and I'm now in favour of a referendum.
But you have changed your mind on this, have you not?
Actually, the point about that interview...
Yes or no? You have changed your mind on this.
Hold on, that interview was before the Labour Party conference last year when we committed to a referendum. Now that we're committed to a referendum, people who voted Leave and people who voted Remain...
You are not committed to a referendum. This is a jack-of-all-trades commitment, because it's not a firm commitment to have a referendum come what may. It's only in this kind of circumstance will we have a confirmatory referendum.
Yeah, but the key circumstance, though, is any deal coming from this government. Now, it does
and
not...
if there was a Labour government coming to a deal, there wouldn't be a referendum, would there?
Well, we haven't said what our policy... If there was a Labour government, of course, there would be an election between now and then, and Labour would have to have a manifesto.
But surely,
so we would then say in the manifesto what our
again,
policy
if you weren't,
my view
if you
is that
weren't
there should
a Labour
be a
candidate
referendum
now,
on a Labour deal too.
Oh, it is?
That's my view.
So
there should be a referendum on a Labour
that's
deal.
against Labour Party policy at the moment.
The only way there will be a Labour deal is an election under Labour government. Let's be clear. It's the only way. So if that happens, then of course we'd have a manifesto. And my view in that manifesto is, of course, there should be a referendum.
Do you think voters in the council elections knew what they were voting for?
Well, I did a lot of campaigning in the council elections, and people were mostly voting on the record of their local councils and what they wanted to see happen.
You think?
Mostly. There were some.
So why did Labour lose seats?
There were some. There were some who were clearly concerned about the issue of Brexit, and many of those who wanted to see Brexit end and a referendum. It's very clear that they did vote for the Lib Dems and the Greens. I hope that on the 23rd of May, in the European elections, they'll vote Labour because they realise that the only party that can actually bring about a referendum and stop Brexit is Labour.
I was following your tweets last night because I had nothing better to do.
I was replying to all the questions.
You were.
Being very dutifully.
You say that HS2 is beyond cancellation. If that is so, why isn't Brexit?
HS2 has had a vote of 10-1 in the House of Commons in favour. Theresa May has still not 10-1 in favour.
Well, and the Article 50 vote was 6-1.
Theresa May has lost her Brexit deal in the House of Commons 3 times. When there is a parliamentary majority in favour of Theresa May's Brexit deal, obviously it would happen. But so far, the only question is the scale of defeat. It's a situation completely different from HS2. And HS2 is being built at the moment. I mean, at the moment, the reason why Euston, I'm afraid, is closed and subject to engineering works at the moment is because of the initial construction works on HS2. We're not in a similar position, I'm glad to say, on Brexit.
Why do you block so many people on Twitter just because they ask you a question that you don't like or that they disagree with you?
I don't.
Yes, you do.
No.
I've had hundreds, and you will have seen these. Well, you probably haven't because you blocked them. I've had literally hundreds of people on my Twitter feed wanting to know why you block them just because they politely ask you a question.
I don't block anyone who is polite. I'm afraid there are people who are aggressive and sometimes threatening on Twitter.
Let's play you this clip from Sky News. Ashley Fox, a Conservative MEP, a Remain-supporting Conservative MEP,
who was aggressive on Twitter.
Says you blocked him. Let's just listen.
So what Andrew Adonis is saying is nonsense. Do you know he blocked me on Twitter because although I voted Remain, I said we should respect the referendum result. This man has no credibility, standing for Parliament for the first time and campaigning to disrespect the referendum result. And yet he's not prepared to debate with other people who disagree with him.
Well, he's debating with you now.
I'm debating now, and I debate up and down the country, and I've been debating in the southwest of England, so that's not true. It's true that I don't respond to people who are rude or
and yet
aggressive.
you block me on Twitter because you disagree with me.
But I debate openly.
You're going to unblock him on Twitter?
Yeah, but the critical, of course I'll unblock him on Twitter if he wants to engage in polite debate.
I mean, Ashley Fox is a very mild-mannered man.
Yeah, it's quite funny that he said that in a debate that I was having with him on Sky. So it's not exactly as if I'm not debating Ian, is it?
But why would you block a Conservative MEP on Twitter?
He was aggressive.
How aggressive? What was he saying?
There was a Twitter exchange.
I mean,
and
I completely
don't think
understand. I mean, I do it myself. If someone swears at me, if they're gratuitously rude to me, I will block them. So I have sympathy on that. But I don't block people for disagreeing with me or politely asking me a question.
Nor do I.
I've got lots of examples of where you have.
Nor do I. Ian.
Anyway.
So, but let's be clear. That clip, it's highly ironic, was in a debate I was holding with Ashley Fox.
Have you unblocked him?
I don't know is the answer. I don't spend all my time following the minutiae of Twitter.
You did promise to unblock him then, didn't you? But anyway. Right, we will be taking your calls now. 0345 6060 973. It's 11:30 and let's get the news headlines from Philip Chrysikos.
Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage says it would be the final betrayal of Brexit if Theresa May agrees to 3 of Labour's demands to back her deal. The Sunday Times reports the Prime Minister will meet with Jeremy Corbyn on Tuesday to make a big, bold offer by agreeing to a customs union, a wider range of EU single market regulations on goods and workers' rights. Hostilities have escalated between Israel and militants in Gaza following a breakdown in ceasefire talks. Israel's Prime Minister says he's ordered the military to continue, in his words, massive airstrikes against targets in Gaza. Police and crime commissioners say new consent forms asking rape victims to hand over their mobile phones for data analysis should be dropped. Describing them as a digital strip search, they want the Crown Prosecution Service to withdraw them in England and Wales. LBC weather. Showers in parts of England and Wales. More frequent in northern Scotland. Sunny elsewhere. A high of 13 degrees.
This is LBC.
So much confusion. Half-price carbonara with car insurance? Do I want another meal or just a good deal? Confused.com give you £20 free Texaco fuel with your car insurance. A free gift that makes sense? It's that easy. £20 free Texaco fuel with your car insurance. Don't be confused. Be Confused.com. Full T's and C's online. Scottish postcode exceptions and conditions apply. Offer ends 31st of May.
Oh, I found one of our new Vauxhall Griffin editions.
Yes. What comes as standard?
Standard? Well, alloy wheels, sat-nav, aircon, DAB radio, Bluetooth, smartphone projection and USB connection.
Wow. Is that everything?
Sorry, forgot the colour touchscreen.
Buy a new Griffin edition, Adam, Astra, Corsa or Mocha X Plus and get a whole host of features as standard. The Griffin edition range. All Griffin, no bull. Visit your nearest retailer now. Vauxhall, British brand since 1903. Participating retailers only. Limited units while stocks last.
All that's missing from my flower bed is some actual flowers.
For an instant injection of colour, get to B&Q. This bank holiday weekend with a massive 20% off all outdoor plants. And that's on top of any current multi-buy offers or discounts. Hurry, offer ends this Monday. You can do it when you B&Q it. Turf seeds and bulbs not included.
We need to leave now. Monty, where's your other shoe? Some things in life are hard to find quickly. Your new boiler doesn't have to be one of them. With Swell Heating's online tool, find the perfect boiler from top manufacturers like Worcester Bosch in under 5 minutes. Visit swellheating.com. Rely on us to keep you warm.
Still driving around central London in that? Upgrade your non-compliant van to a brand new Vito 111 Long for just $37.50 a week, excluding VAT at 20%. Make a clean break with Rigor Commercials. Search Rigor Scrappage. Business users only. Qualifying vehicles. 36-month operating lease. £162.50 per month, excluding VAT at 20%. 12,000 miles per annum. Mileage and damage charges apply. No ownership. Ends June 30th, 2019. Offer includes 3,500 UL EZ scrappage contribution. TfL scrappage scheme. T's and C's and eligibility criteria applies.
iZettle is the mobile card reader and till system for your tablet and phone. It's the fast-moving, trend-setting, dream-chasing, mind-bending, life-changing, hip-shaking, jaw-dropping, pulse-racing, show-stopping, stress-busting, space-saving, eye-opening, skyrocketing, business-boosting, profit-pushing, finger-tapping, ceiling-smashing, record-breaking way to run your business. For a better way to take card payments and start, run and grow your business, visit iZettle.com.
Iain Dale on LBC.
It's 11:34 on LBC. We're going to take your calls to Andrew Adonis now. Let me say exactly the same as I said last week before I started asking questions to Nigel Farage. I'm not interested in having any calls that agree with Andrew because for the simple reason that the point of these hours is for politicians to be challenged. So last week, I think there was one that slipped through that did agree with Nigel, so we might allow one.
That's very kind of you.
It's just we've only got half an hour or 25 minutes now, and I want to get as many calls on as possible that actually challenge Andrew. So let's start off with Craig in Oxford. Hello, Craig.
Morning.
Morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was listening to your interview earlier, and chuckled as I often do at the claim that the majority of people want another referendum. We had one. No one that was on the winning side of the last one is campaigning for another one. And in fact, the only argument possibly you could have for a confirmatory vote, as far as I see it, is that the previous referendum outcome led to two choices coming from that: leaving with no deal or leaving with the government's deal. So the only confirmatory should be between those two things, if there were to be one. No deal was not an option of the last deal.
Andrew.
Well, Craig actually, I think, has to some extent answered his own question, because he said that there were circumstances in which he thought there should be a confirmatory vote because it wasn't clear what actually the form of leaving was going to be from the referendum. He said it could be with no deal.
I think, Craig, you're saying that if there were to be another referendum, that's what it should be. But are you actually arguing for that?
What I'm saying is the outcome of the last referendum was perfectly clear. Article 50 leads for two possible outcomes. It's as clear as day, and in fact, the only certainty of the entire process was that no deal was always an option. That was the only guaranteed possible outcome from the previous referendum.
Could I ask Craig a question then? Which option does he think we should pursue as a country?
At the moment, I feel that Theresa May's agreement is a surrender agreement, not a withdrawal agreement. It's a complete, sort of cow down and surrender to the EU, and we need to have what I feel would be to leave with no deal as a reset. It's not
okay. All right. Just on that, Craig, Andrew. Craig is technically right, isn't he? There were only two options once we triggered Article 50: deal or no deal.
No, I don't accept that at all. Because
that's the case.
That's not legally the case either. Because until Parliament had actually voted through a Brexit deal, the default was that we stay in the European Union, and that's the position which we're in now.
No.
Significant.
So what was the point of what was the point of the 2-year limit then?
Because a period for negotiating.
And if the negotiations didn't work, then you leave with no deal. That's the legal default.
Or you stay in.
That's the legal default.
No, because Parliament itself is in charge of the law. That's why it's called Parliament, is it makes the law. And what Parliament has decided to do is to make the default staying in, not going out. But the significant thing about what Craig said, which goes to the heart of the case for a referendum, is that Craig doesn't think what the government's doing is Brexit either.
No, nor do
I. He says that what should be happening is some form of no deal. Well, there is not going to be some form of no deal coming out of Parliament. That's clear, because Parliament has voted by 400 votes to 200 votes against leaving with no deal. So actually, Craig himself is making the case for a people's vote, but one which has three options: one which has no deal, one which has Theresa May's deal, and one which has staying in the European Union. And I think there's a very strong argument for a referendum with those three options.
Let me remind everyone, if you want to watch us, you can do so on the LBC Facebook page, Twitter feed, YouTube channel, or on the website. It's on the front page. Craig, thank you. Giles is in Chessington. Hi, Giles.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going a bit zoo-like at the moment. Chessington Zoo, get it? What would you like to ask, Giles?
Well, basically, I want to say to Lord Adonis, irrespective of what his views are and all the rest of it, half the reason the Labour Party is doing so badly is because, and I've been listening to you half an hour now, and it is about as clear as mud what you're saying, and there's just no clarity at all about what Labour's on about. And I've got to say that listening to you is just so confusing. And if there's one thing which sums it up for me with you politicians, and you and Barry Gardiner are probably the worst, is when you come out with "let me be clear" and come out with the biggest load of guff, which seems to contradict everything that which one part of the Labour Party is told, and then you come up with something else. I mean, no wonder people don't know what the hell the Labour Party stands for and what you stand for and what actually everybody wants with respect to the Labour policy. No one has a clue, and you're just making it worse for everybody.
Well, now you've got that off your chest, Giles. What's your question?
And what would Giles like to see happen? That's what I'm interested in. Let's get a question from Giles, because we haven't got too much time.
To be honest, actually, I would like to know how you think the European election is going to pan out, and actually whether you think that might be the equivalent of a referendum, because it seems to me clear that it's going to be dominated by the Brexit Party and the Remain parties.
So is this a sort of pseudo-referendum where you've got the Brexit Party and then you've got the collection of Remain supporting parties, and then you've got the Conservative and Labour parties?
Well, on Giles's point, of course, let's be clear, the reason why we're in...
You said it again.
I know I have, but the reason why we're in this position at the moment is Theresa May cannot get any Brexit deal through the House of Commons. And so for as long as we're paralysed in this position, I'm afraid we are going to be going round in circles. I hope we can break the logjam, and I think the only way of breaking the logjam is going to be a referendum.
Well, no, we get that. You've said it about 10 times now, so we understand that.
I haven't exactly been dissembling here, have I, in my view on that?
No, I know you've been very repetitive in your view on that. But on May the 23rd, do you see that as a sort of ersatz referendum?
Well, the problem with it being a referendum is you clearly do have a straight no-deal Brexit option in Farage and the Brexit Party, but then it's a kind of alphabet soup on the other side. Whereas, of course, if you had a referendum, you would have clear options which you could vote for, which wouldn't get you in that situation. So at the moment, you've got Labour, you've got the Lib Dems, you've got the Greens, you've got Change, all with different emphases and somewhat different policies in other areas, all of which want to hold a referendum on Brexit. So who do you vote for is an issue which people are going to be grappling with over the next 3 weeks.
See, let me put it to you that I think if you weren't standing for Labour, you might well be voting for Change UK in these elections because they are more aligned to your own views on this.
I've always, in the last 25 years, voted Labour, and I carry on doing so. What I want to see is
so you just do it
Labour.
blindly. It doesn't really matter what the party says. You will just vote for the party regardless.
I'm extremely privileged that I've got a seat for the Labour Party in Parliament, in the House of Lords, and I've always used it to argue for the policies I think should happen. I've been very, very open about the policies I want to see happen. The policy I think we should be following as a country in this case.
Blindly for your party, even if you disagree with them fundamentally, which you do on this.
Well, I always do my best to see that my party and myself, that we're in the same place, and we're doing well at the moment.
Giles, thank you for that. Let's go to Andrew in Acton. Andrew, your question, please.
Thank you, Ian. Yes, Lord Adonis, my question is this. If Jeremy Corbyn agreed a deal which did not offer the same benefits as the single market and the customs union, would you still call on people to vote Labour?
I do not believe we will be in that position.
But if you were?
Because Jeremy has himself said that he is seeking to protect the benefits of the customs union and the single market. And I take Jeremy at his word. I don't believe he will agree a deal that would put me in that position. So I'm glad to say that I don't think that situation will arise.
No, but why won't you be prepared to say what your position would be? Because it's fundamental to your position.
Well, I don't believe that Jeremy would agree that. And he has himself made clear that we're seeking to retain, as we said in our last manifesto, retain the benefits of the customs union and the single market.
But that's not actually the case, is it? Because he has made clear, Rebecca Long-Bailey has made clear, that you will not have the benefit of freedom of movement.
He has said that we are seeking to retain the benefits
but not freedom of movement.
Of the customs union and the single market.
But not freedom of movement.
Well, he said that we're going to retain those benefits.
No, but not freedom of movement.
So, he would be prepared to make a move on freedom of movement.
Yeah, i.e. not have it.
Not have it in its current form.
So that's not identical to the benefits of the single market that we have now, is it?
No, but Jeremy's no. It's not an identical arrangement. But in terms of the benefits, which are the benefits that the British people have in terms of being able to trade,
there are four pillars of the single market, of which freedom of movement is one.
We would retain those.
And the Labour Party is saying that they would not retain freedom of movement. So it's not the same.
Well,
it's quite clear. It's not the same, is it?
Yeah, it's not identical.
So it's not the same.
It's not identical, but we would seek to retain the benefits. So I don't believe that we will be put in the position which the caller has just suggested.
What restrictions on immigration do you think there should be?
Well, that would then have to be a subject of a long negotiation. What would be acceptable?
Because you want to retain freedom of movement.
Yeah, I think freedom of movement is good. I'm the son of an immigrant. I've benefited from freedom of movement. I don't seek to deny to others the benefits that I've enjoyed myself.
I didn't vote Leave because of freedom of movement, I have to say. But in the end, the majority of the British people, even among people who voted to remain, don't actually agree with freedom of movement. So therefore the Labour Party quite rightly has recognised that the electorate voted in that way, but you haven't.
Yeah, but let's be clear, there's not at the moment any proposal on the table for a change which Labour has said that it would support.
No, because Labour hasn't. Labour's been quite sort of opaque on this, haven't they?
Well, it's because we have said that we want to retain the benefits of the single market and the customs union. And if we think we go around in circles, it's because we keep coming back to that fundamental point.
OK, well, at least we didn't get the people's vote in that answer.
We'll get that next time.
In a moment, we'll take some more of your calls. Andrew, thank you for yours. And don't forget, you can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, the Twitter feed, or via the LBC website. It's 11:45.
Coming up at 12 on LBC, Majid Nawaz.
Are Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn the only two people in this country who want a half-half Brexit? Do you feel betrayed?
Majid Nawaz on LBC.
Have you ever bought an investment sold by Barclays, Halifax, Lloyds, Santander or any other bank or financial advisor? Investments like stocks and shares ISAs, investment bonds and certain types of pension can be risky. If you lost money with one of these investments, you could be owed thousands of pounds in compensation. Even if you no longer have the investment or the paperwork, here at Goodwin Barrett we can still help. To start your free assessment with Goodwin Barrett, text GOOD to 60777. That's GOOD to 60777.
Still driving around central London in that? Upgrade your non-compliant van to a brand new Vito 111 Long for just £37.50 a week, excluding VAT at 20%. Make a clean break with Rigor Commercials. Search Rigor Scrappage. Business users only. Qualifying vehicles. 36-month operating lease. £162.50 per month, excluding VAT at 20%. 12,000 miles per annum. Mileage and damage charges apply. No ownership. Ends June 30th, 2019. Offer includes 3,500 UL EZ scrappage contribution. TfL scrappage scheme. T's and C's and eligibility criteria applies.
Your future is here. The Global Academy, a forward-thinking state school for 14 to 19-year-olds interested in a media career. Visit globalacademy.com to find out more.
This summer, upgrade your British staycation with Royal Caribbean. Swap grey skies for bright blue sea. Swap muddy boots for scuba suits. Swap soggy lunches for balcony brunches. Drive to Southampton and set sail to Europe from just $5.99 per person. Book now at royalcaribbean.co.uk or visit your local travel agent. Royal Caribbean. This is how to holiday. Price subject to availability on selected sailings. T's and C's apply. At or protected.
Word in the woods is that three little pigs are looking to sell their homes quick. They seem to be in a spot of bother with the big bad wolf called Rick.
Come out, little piggies!
So they spoke to the friendly team at Property Rescue, who can offer a guaranteed sale in as little as 48 hours at a fair price and a cash advance if you need one. Fast forward to living happily ever after. Visit propertyrescue.co.uk. Property Rescue. Fast forward to sold.
It's time to expand, and next door is available. But why are your plans waiting to get off the ground?
Whatever your business, our finance can keep things flowing. We are iWalker, and we offer loans from £1,000 to £200,000. iWalker, search it how you say it. iWalker, helping business flow.
Hey, you know what they say, go big or go home. So get yourself to Big Motoring World for up to 2,000 used BMWs, Audis, Mercedes, VWs, Nissans, Fords, Vauxhalls, Peugeots, Fiats, Mitsubishis, Citroens, Hondas. Oh, I know that's a big list, but I already told you, go big or go home. See bigmotoringworld.co.uk or find them minutes from the M25. Hit it, ladies.
Big Motoring World. This is LBC with Iain Dale. Call 0345 6060 973.
11:49. Let's see if we can get at least three questions in the last section of the programme to Andrew Adonis. Terry is in Whitley Bay. Hello, Terry.
Hi, Ian. Just like to say, I think you completely owned Mr. Adonis there.
Lord Adonis, please.
Lord Adonis. Sorry,
he answers to anything, don't worry. Mr. is fine.
That's a very much discredited title, I think, these days. What I'd like to ask, really, is a second referendum or a deal between the Labour and Conservatives over Brexit on a Brino really just a suicide pact for the two major parties?
That's a Brexit in name only.
Which I take to mean something like Theresa May's deal is what you think would happen. Is that right?
Well, no, because as it stands with the political declaration, we are leaving the customs union. So a deal is going to add in a customs union, which is going to make it even softer again. So it's going to be even less palatable to Remain voters or Leave voters. What you are doing is you're having a tug of war across the Grand Canyon. And what that deal is an agreement for both major parties to jump into the canyon, because nobody...
Well, that's an interesting analogy. I might plagiarise that one.
The answer is I agree with you. I think it is a chasm which can't be bridged. I entirely agree with you about that, and that's the reason why I don't think there'll be a deal.
OK, Terry, thank you. Paul is in Alderley Edge. Paul, what would you like to ask?
Oh, hello, good afternoon. I'd just like to ask the question to Lord Adonis. Where Remain campaigners talk about the Leave campaign being full of lies, how does he feel about completely reneging on his manifesto? Because the Brexit, my understanding is that a lot of Brexit voters voted for Labour on the basis of the manifesto. What's happening with the manifesto promises that were made?
Well, we said that we wanted to retain the benefits of the single market and the customs union, which is precisely the point that's at issue at the moment in these talks with the government. But it doesn't look as if
it doesn't mention a second referendum, though.
It doesn't look as if that's going to be possible, does it? Well, we then all have to deal with the situation which arises. Theresa May's deal has been voted down 3 times in Parliament. It doesn't look as if any version of her deal is going through. Parliament is gridlocked. We have to take a decision as a country by the end of October as to what we're going to do, because that's the current extension to the Article 50 negotiating period. There's a famous Sherlock Holmes story where Sherlock says, Watson, after you've eliminated all the impossible options, you're just left with the improbable, which must be the truth. And we are steadily eliminating the impossible options. No deal, Theresa May's deal with knobs on, and what we're increasingly being left with is a second referendum with an option to remain. And we have to deal with the situation as we face it.
I agree with one of the previous callers that if there is to be a second referendum, that the question should be a question of the Leave options. I remember when we entered the European Community in 1973, there was no referendum going into that. The people's vote has already happened. It happened on the 23rd of June in 2016. So as far as I'm concerned, the decision has been made. And what I fear is going to happen is that if democracy is ignored, as you advocate, do you feel that there's going to be a rise in populist and right-wing parties, as we're seeing in Europe now?
Well, I don't think the people can betray the people. So the idea that a referendum with the credible options facing the country, and I accept you've set out 2 of them, which is leaving with some WTO type arrangements, leaving with Theresa May's deal, or the third one, which is staying in the European Union. The idea that that is a betrayal of democracy is of course nonsense, because it's the people themselves who would take the decision, and the people can't betray the people.
If there was another referendum, you would hopefully accept that the whole country has to buy into the question that's asked. Clearly there's a dispute about what that question should be. One solution would be to have a repeat of Remain versus Leave, and then have a second question. If Leave wins, deal or no deal. Would you accept that?
That's possible. The other way of doing it is, your callers, what's striking about your callers is that all of the ones who we've spoken to so far don't want Theresa May's deal, which is the only thing that is before Parliament at the moment. So the logic of that would be to have 3 options. It would be to have some form of no deal, whether that's with a WTO arrangement or without, Theresa May's deal, or stay in the European Union. Now, whether you turn that into 2 questions or you have preferential voting on one question is something that Parliament would need to decide.
Paul, thank you very much. Let's go to Ian in Mansfield. Ian, your question, please.
Good morning, Ian. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm proud of you for sitting there for half an hour debating or listening. I think the latter.
That's what I do.
My question is very simple, very simple. What gives Lord Adonis the right to believe that his opinion, and I've listened to it now for some half an hour, better than the electorate who voted to leave? Why does he believe he has this God-given right to believe that he is better? Because it rammed down our throats every time he comes on. That's my question.
Nothing gives me that right, and I don't.
Well, then why do you take it? Why do you assume it?
I don't assume it at all.
You
no,
do. We listen to you.
No, it's the
we
reason.
Listen to you ranting. You rant.
Well, you may say that, but that's I do not seek to impose my views on others. The reason I want to
now.
see
you're trying to do it to me now.
Well, he's been invited onto the programme to talk about Brexit and the European elections, which means obviously he's giving us our views, Ian. What's so wrong about that?
Because they're not balanced, in my opinion. That's all. They're not balanced.
But
they are one side. It does not taking. It doesn't stand back and take the view of 17 odd million 3 years ago, and he tries all the time to change our opinions.
Well,
once the vote has been taken.
I think, actually, let's be fair about this, Ian. You disagree with me. Well, we're a democracy, and you have an absolute right to disagree with me, and I have an absolute right to my point of view. That's the great glory of being in Britain, is that we can conduct our debates like this. You can have your view, I can have my view, and then either through referenda or through general elections, that's how we decide what's going to happen.
Back in January 2018, I said to you in an interview I did with you, be honest, your entire agenda is to sabotage Brexit, isn't it? And you said yes, which I thought was commendably honest. Isn't that what Ian is kind of referring to there? That the attitude, well, I want to sabotage it, I want to go against the wishes of 17.4 million people. There might have been a majority, but I'm going to ignore that majority. Yeah. That's what he objects to.
Yeah, I'm a Democrat, and that's the reason why I think the right way of resolving this in the situation we now face, where Parliament can't pass any deal. 3 attempts have been made to pass a Brexit deal and none has gone through, and there's no other credible solution on the table. The right thing to do is now to have a referendum where, of course, those people like Ian who still want us to leave, maybe with no deal, they can have their say,
would you
and those of us who want us to stay,
a
we can have our say
referendum
too.
That was just Theresa May's deal or remain would be a rigged referendum?
Well, it's very clear from your callers that a lot of them want to see a third option, which is, I'm not sure whether it's best to describe it as no deal or WTO deal. The people who support that would need to decide what they put on the ballot paper. I think there's a very strong case for that, because there's clearly a strong support for that in parts of the country.
Andrew is a new caller in Glasgow. Andrew, your question, please.
Hi there, thank you for having me. First of all, I'd like to say I really welcome Lord Adonis' Damastian conversion from no Brexit at all to now standing in a Labour manifesto for Brexit. But my question is, and it's actually the reason why I phoned in. I've never phoned in one of these shows before, but hearing Lord Adonis incorrectly talk about ruling out no deal, does Lord Adonis realise that the UK Parliament, and one of the reasons why we wanted to leave, doesn't have sovereignty over no deal? It's for the EU 27 to decide if they want to have a no deal or not.
Well, actually, it's for because, of course, Britain is part of the EU 28 at the moment, and until we've left the European Union, that continues to be the case. So we need to decide collectively what we're going to do, which is what happened last time. The EU 28, Britain with our European partners, agreed that we would extend the Article 50 negotiating period for 7 months. So it's certainly true that we need to reach an agreement between us. We don't have a complete say on that, because, of course, we're negotiating with the EU, but that has been agreed.
Andrew, thank you very much for your first-time call. Andrew Adonis, thank you very much for experiencing the last hour. It's been a feisty hour, just as it was with Nigel Farage last week. I'll be back on Tuesday night at 7. We have an hour with Sian Berry, the leader of the Green Party, at 8 on Tuesday, so hopefully you'll join us for that. Coming up at 3, it's Ian Payne. Next on LBC, Majid Nawaz.
Thank you.